Thanks for listening to the AZ Wildcats podcast, joined by the boss, Saul Bookman. Saul, were you burping? What were you doing right there?
I was sighing. I was quenching my thirst with a nice, tasty beverage.
Oh, what do you have? Did you get this tasty beverage from Circle K?
I did not, unfortunately. I had to go somewhere within walking distance, and so I had to go to a good old Starbucks.
No free ads.
Also, Mike, I always find it interesting that every time you start the show, your voice goes to like another octave.
Yeah, because I get excited.
And I'm like, why?
I will do it again. Then thanks for listening to the AZ Wildcats podcast. I am your host, Mike Luke. I will never change that, Saul. I've always done that. Right. That is the way, because I have so much pent up, and I got to just get it going. That is my release. That is my
I
release.
am very proud of you, by the way. I think it is, when we first launched PHNX, good old Mike Luke had the full beard going. And I thought, man, this is the best Mike has ever looked. Yeah. And then you got rid of it. And I wasn't a fan, but I wasn't going to say anything. I'm so happy that you're going to bring it back.
Well, you got to remember, though, too, that thing was so long and it was very hot. That was the problem, as I was scratching a lot. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grow it long, but then I'm going to keep it trimmed, though. The very red, rotund beard will be back. I'm warning everybody there.
Do you have a good grooming program?
I do have a good grooming program. Okay. Yes, I will be ready this time. The Beard 2.0 will be back, Saul. All right. So all right. We got a lot to get to this show. By the way, we got to give a shout out to our PHNX Sun Devils, buddy. Do they have anybody coming on the show today?
Some coach. I don't know. I think his name's Kenny.
All right. I put this out there on Twitter, and we're going to get to basketball, football, and everything, but I think this is something that people forget in this day and age, Saul. I mean, you've been in the industry a long time. I've been in the industry a long time. It's very rare when you come across a group of guys that are just good dudes. When you look at Arizona football, when you look at Arizona basketball, Tommy Lloyd, Brent Brennan, good guys. Bobby Hurley appears to be a maniac, but Bobby Hurley is actually a really good dude. Kenny Dillingham, a great dude as well. And I think some people, yes, I hope they lose every game, but I think sometimes people need to take a little bit of a step back and say, that is pretty cool that these are four pretty righteous dudes.
What's so funny is ironically enough, Mike, you have done a pretty admirable job of bridging the gap of hatred between U of A and ASU. I commend you for it, because you're right. Like at the end of the day, who are they as people? And I think, there's some really, really good people over there at ASU. And now, do I hope they lose every single game too? Yes, 1,000,000%. But as long as the ultimate thing doesn't come at our expense, then, hey, as a company guy, I need them to do well because that helps the ASU guys out who work very, very hard.
They do. They're fantastic. And here's the thing, too, where I'm at with sports. I love bantering. I love trolling other fan bases. But at the end of the day, I do not believe in personal insults. I also believe that it's okay to say that somebody's a good dude. Dilly is a good guy, period. It's okay. I get flack all the time from U of A guys who are like, oh, you have a man crush on Dilly. No, I have no problem saying that Dilly's a good dude. And I think we're kind of at this stage now where we can't really admit that, yes, I want you to lose every game, but that also doesn't mean that you suck as a person. And I think that that's something that, with my ASU friends, I try to remember. Yes, I hope you lose, but I can still say you're a good dude. I love hanging out with Kyle Dodd in Vegas.
Nothing wrong with that. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Yeah, no, it'll be exciting to have KD in the building today. He's a good dude, and it'll be interesting. I have it on very good authority that the question about Mike Luke will come up. So stay tuned.
Well, I'm going to be tuning in, man. I messaged Dilly this morning telling I was excited to watch him. So I'm excited. Yes. When they put that, and again, I know this is a U of A thing. So, but sorry, I just get excited, but I saw when they put that out there, I'm like, I wonder if this is KD coming on. So that will be very cool. I will be tuning in. All right. So we've got a lot to get to here. We got Arizona basketball. We got some Arizona football. We got Arizona baseball. Chip Hale, freshly minted Pac-12 Coach of the Year. Chip Hale, very excited about that. Listen, now you got the Pac-12 tournament, then you're going to go into it. But man, what a great way to finish off the year for U of A sports, Saul.
Phenomenal year from top to bottom. Even the women are in the super regional right now. In softball, baseball's kicking ass. They start the Pac-12 tournament this week, and obviously men's football and basketball has been fantastic, and the women got to the tournament. I can't recall too many other seasons where we had this much success. Maybe 2014.
Yeah, because you obviously had Miller. You had the Fiesta Bowl team. You had I was going to say, is that the year that Lopez went to the, or was it Jay Johnson in his
No,
first year?
2012 was Lopez in the championship. Maybe 2015 was when Jay Johnson took them to the World Series.
Either way, though, man, like a really, really good time to be an Arizona sports fan. It's always a good time to be an Arizona sports fan, but this is a very good time. Shout out to Chip Hale. I will not go to the next game because the last game I went to, they lost by 9,000 runs. So I watched the last game on TV. That is my resolute. Jake Hale, if you're watching, that is my tip of the cap to you. Now, Saul, I wanted to talk. Let's get into some Arizona football here. I wanted to ask you something I've been thinking about, and I've been going back and forth with people on Twitter a little bit. How important is it for you for Arizona to get into that 9 to 10 win realm where you're squarely to be able, again, I don't necessarily need you finishing 11th in the country, but you have that year where you're around at least 15, 16 to be able to build momentum. The reason I ask you that is this is a pretty talented roster he's going to have. And there's a lot of guys that are probably going to go off to the NFL after this year. You could have 3 first rounders. How important is it for Brent Brennan to be able to get this thing going with a boom, to have 2 straight really good years for recruiting as well?
It's incredibly important. This might be the most important season in U of A football, like point blank, because you've had a lot of people put a lot of money into this program and the NIL front. You have a lot of talent on this roster. You have high expectations on this roster. And if you come in and you lay an egg and go 6, 7, 8 wins, that's going to deflate a lot of people. So you got to win at least 9 is the minimum. You have to win 9.
I agree.
I think you should be in that running to win 10 or 11. You're going to get the occasional hiccup, I think, especially in the Big 12. But as long as you're in contention for the CFP, that's the thing to me, is like you got to be in contention for the CFP all the way to the end. Then you can live with the results. But if Brennan falls flat, then there's just going to be a lot of bad juju around this program. That's not ideal.
I can't have 7 and 6. I can't have something like that. And here's the thing too, Saul, is that Arizona football under Dick Tomey had some very good seasons, but there's also some revisionist history. I think that the problem with Dick Tomey is he was never able to, as you know, he was never able to build on it. He would have the one monster year in 94, and then you would fall back into a 7 and 5, a 6 and 6. Then in 98, you have the 12 and 1 year. Then the next game, you get blown out by Penn State by 9,000 points. They're still, Kajana Carter is still scoring.
Yeah, LeVar Arrington is still making sacks.
Courtney Brown is still in there. I mean, so that has been the one thing. Arizona, whenever they've got to a high precipice, has never been able to build on that. And I think that's been something that's been able to hold Arizona back. This is a year where you've got a stud quarterback. You've got arguably the best wide receiver in college football. You got a first-round lineman. You got a first-round DB. You've returning 16 to 22 starters. You got to capitalize here. And again, I know it's not a easy thing to ask a first-year coach at the U of A, but at the same time, Brent Brennan's also been a head coach long enough to know. I think he knows that the expectations are here, and I think he should be able to get there.
Yeah, it's not an easy thing to ask. It's also not an easy thing to get into a new conference, new environments, not knowing what to expect at certain places. Routines can get a little thrown off. Listen, a lot of these guys have not traveled to Orlando to play a team like UCF. They haven't traveled to Manhattan, Kansas to play a team like Kansas State. Like those are completely different environments. And literally those two specifically are wildly different environments. Yeah, Orlando for sure. And then Manhattan, Kansas, right? And so
your neck of the woods.
What's that?
Your neck of the woods, Manhattan, Kansas.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So there's a lot of variability there. That's why I think if you get 2 losses, I think 2 is the right number. I think if you have 3 or 4, something probably went a little bit wrong. Maybe you had an injury that was too significant to overcome. I think 2, you get 2 bumps in the road, 10 and 2 heading into maybe the conference championship or the CFP. I can live with that, but you lose 3 or 4, then you're starting to get a little bit on shaky ground, and you got to hope that the rest of the country is also having a tough time of it as well.
And it becomes, let's be honest, it becomes a lot easier to recruit if you have 2 straight 10-win seasons, especially with everything. I mean, kids here's what kids like. They like money, they like winning, and they like being on TV. It's those, I'm not even sure in which order outside if I know that money is first. And so if you have 2 straight 10-win seasons, it's a lot easier to be able to push that momentum when you're recruiting and you're like, all right, well, listen, man, this isn't just a 1-year thing. And you can also sell, listen, you got Noah Fafita coming back for a couple more years. We're going to be able to fill it, transfers and whatnot. It just makes life a lot easier. Saul Bookman, you and I are on the same page. 9 wins minimum for me. 9 wins minimum.
Yeah, I agree. Listen, man, this is the most excited I've been for a U of A season in quite a while, because like you said before, when we had good years, we typically lost some players and then we kind of fell off a little bit. The only time I can recall that not happening was after we went to the Fiesta Bowl and we came back. Scooby returned, but then Scooby got hurt like the very first game of the season against UTSA, and everything went downhill from there. And that was just tragic. And you can't repeat that. You have to build on what happened last year, because you got all the momentum going your way. You also don't want to gas all the haters, because there's a lot of people that are like, oh, they really think highly of themselves and blah, blah, blah. They're not really that great and blah. Yeah, okay, whatever. Arizona is legit. They are a really, really good team. If they should falter and lose more than 3 games this season, that's a complete failure on the coaching staff, not just the players. So I think they all understand. I think they're working hard as hell to try and make sure that they live up to those expectations. Because I think externally, our expectations are about like, hey, let's not lose 2 or 3 games. Let's make sure we can get to the college football playoff. I think if we got to the CFP, we'd be happy with whatever the results are. I think internally, I think their goals are much higher. But they're not going to say them. But I think that their goals are much higher. They want to win the conference. They want to win the Big 12 their first year, and they want to get to the Final Four of the CFP. I would be shocked if they didn't feel that way.
We're going to get into the Big 12 here in a second, because some of the ESPN power rankings are out. And Joseph, yes, T-Mac, they expect him to be fully moving around everything within 2 months. They have no worries about him, so he should be good. But Saul, we also have to address something here, the elephant in the room, that I was talking about yesterday that I got very, very excited about. I have found a new Circle K that I very much like.
Please tell me.
Very, very much like. It's either 29th and Swan or Craycroft. But when I hop on Aviation to go to my parents, I get off there. They have 8 fuel pumps, all very, very cool. Another group, though, 2 people in there, I kid you not, both have Inner Circle hats. I had a guy from Khalil reach out to us and tell me that he is going to get me an Inner Circle hat. I have told many people on this show that I would never wear another hat but this U of A hat. So when I lost it, I had to actually comb my hair. But I would actually wear the Inner Circle hat. So when this happens, but check out this Circle K. And just like in all the Circle Ks, join Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. Saul, next time you're down in Tucson, I want you to check this one out if you can. It's a very good Circle K.
I will. They actually just built another Circle K right over by my house off of Power and Riggs.
Really?
Same thing. I think they're like 10, 12 pumps deep, brand new facility. Circle K expanding everywhere. It's pretty cool to see.
I got a question here. Are we missing are all of the sponsors now coming to the Great Saul Bookman's residence? Because you have the Gila River Resorts and Casinos. You have one right by your house. You have a Circle K that they are now putting up as well. Where are we at that, Saul? Is there some kind of behind the scenes, spit in your hand handshake going on?
No, it's just luck, circumstance.
Well, you know what? It's good luck. And you know what else is good luck, Saul? I had Illegal Pete's yesterday as well. Illegal Pete's, very, very good food. Now, there's one. Now, listen, down at the U of A, there is a very good one. And the great thing about Illegal Pete's, it's very underrated. You can get your food in there. There's a lot of places on University. You go in there and you got to wait. I mean, I know I don't want Max to yell at me, so I'm not going to name any other places. But there are places you have to wait. Whereas at Illegal Pete's, you don't. Illegal Pete's is here to bring you a win with their legendary soundtrack deal. Bring in your ticket stub from any ticketed event and get a draft beer or house margarita for a penny. Illegal Pete's wants to celebrate with you, whether it's a pregame or a postgame party. They got you covered on all your game day needs. Must purchase an adult entree to redeem at Illegal Pete's. Illegal Pete's, your go-to spot for burritos, buddies, beer, and possibly Saul Bookman in Tempe. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, right. There's only one other spot on University where Illegal Pete's is, where I know I don't have to wait too long. It's like a Friday night, and that's no anchovies. And I don't care if Max gets upset about that. No anchovies, stays elite.
No, you know a place that you do not like, that I do very much like, that I've had twice this week already, and I'm feeling the effects? Buffalo Spot.
Oh.
I had to go get triple ply toilet paper the other day because of this, and I was very happy with it. But now Let's
That's a
get
problem, Mike. That's a
triple.
problem.
Oh, have you ever tried triple ply? It's amazing. It's amazing. All right, we'll continue this offline, but no.
I don't want to sound bougie or anything like that, but I feel like I've used triple ply like for a long, long time.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
I just found out about this, man. This is the
what have you been using?
Just double ply. Just
Come on, man.
just
Come
run
on,
of the
Mike.
mill elementary, man. I got to get in the 21st century. You have again. Now, are you responsible?
You got a woman in your life. There's a lot of things that are about to change for you.
Yeah, triple ply is that. I feel very good when I went and got some. So we'll leave it at that. We will leave it at that note. All right, now Mike has the definition of a garbage gut. That is correct. Yes,
This is true.
I take pride in this. All right, now ESPN came out with their ratings. One of my big things, and we're going to start doing this a little bit later on, is I hate the Big 12 football slander. It is absolutely annoying to me. Guess what? In the preseason top 25, guess at ESPN, keep in mind, certainly no bias towards the Big 12 when you got the SEC network and all that. Guess how many teams Saul Bookman, the Big 12, has in their preseason top 25?
Was it 4 or 5 that I counted?
Yeah, just 5. Just 5.
Okay. That's it. Just 5.
Just 5. No biggie.
Only 20% of the poll.
Only 20% of the poll. So, but that's also something I've been telling U of A fans. This is not going to be a cakewalk. You cannot believe like some of these people are like, oh, it's the Power 2 and then these group of 3 conferences. Listen, they got Utah at number 9. We all know that Utah, last year they took a little bit of a step back because Cam Rising was hurt. Cam Rising is going to be back. They have Utah at 9. That's ESPN. So that's the first one you got. Then after that, you've got, and as I scroll down here, Kansas State. Kansas State at 17. We will be at this game. This is true, Saul.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Kansas State, and they've been very solid. Oklahoma State at 19 then. Arizona at 20. Kansas at 22. Basically, there's a lot of games where you could trip up on, and you got to be serious here because there's definitely games here. There's not going to be a lot of gimme games though either because all these teams are kind of fun, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a pretty crazy conference. And again, from year to year, you just never know how things are going to unfold. Kansas has had a couple good seasons. They put it together. They seem like they've kind of pulled themselves out of this seems like a half century funk. And now they're a legit program. So you got to pay attention to them. Oklahoma State, Utah, obviously those programs have always been solid. They've always been good. Mike Gundy, Kyle Whittingham, they all know what the hell they're doing. So I don't know. Listen, Arizona at 20 compared to Utah at 9.
I agree.
I mean, I feel like that's too drastic of a difference, but I think what's happening is Arizona's getting dinged for losing Fish, and Utah's getting promoted for getting Cam Rising back. And so I can understand it from an outsider's perspective, why you would do that, because on the surface, a new coaching staff coming in and you don't really know what Brennan's all about. There's some concerns, but that they have talent. So 20 isn't outrageous to me. Right. I felt like maybe they should have been more 16, 17, 15-ish, but I'm okay with it. Listen, man, you got to go out and prove it. And you got 2 games before you got to play K-State on the road in their place. You beat them, boom, you're going to be right there near the top 10 right off the bat. So take care of business. You'll be all right.
Grant Creech, I think Cam is a very solid player. I don't think he's great, but I think he's solid, and I think he's perfect for what Utah wants to do. That's why. What do you say, Saul?
The important thing about Cam Rising is not just about what he does on the field. It's about what he means to that team. Yeah. When he's on the field, the players feel like they have a leader on the field and they feel confident because that dude balls out. He might not be the greatest player and the most dynamic athlete in the world, but damn it if he doesn't get the job done. Cam Rising, very good football player. And it's somebody, again, you win games with. You're not going to look at his stats. He's probably not going to put up Noah Fafita or Shadur Sanders stats, but he's also probably going to be the dude that you're looking and you're like, wow, it's a game's 27-24, and he's the one leading you down the field to score a touchdown. I mean, that's the kind of dude that's the kind of dude he is. He is very, very solid. Now, speaking of which, wanted to get to a little bit of Arizona basketball as well. Now, Saul, KJ Lewis is back. Very, very good news for the University of Arizona. Very excited about this, Saul Bookman. Very excited. I'm excited for the kid. Listen, he went through the process. He got some feedback. Now he's back in school working on the stuff that he needs to work on to make sure that he's ready to go next year. Because I do believe this will be his last year.
I agree.
And like, listen, man, that's what you want these kids to do. You want them to go through the process, find out what their worth is, find out what they can do, what scouts think of them, so they can come back, take that information, build on themselves, build on the team, take the team to a higher level, and then go get go get the fruits of your labor, man. So I'm excited for KJ Lewis. I'm really proud of the way he went through this process, did it the right way. And Arizona's obviously in a very, very good position now with him in the fold.
Yeah, very good position. It also cracks me up because he actually, as I'm sure you know, Justin Spears, the great Justin Spears, is friends with KJ Lewis's brother, because KJ Lewis was raised here in middle school in Tucson. I always think about this with kids like this. Imagine KJ Lewis in high school playing against like Rincon or like Palo Verde or something. Just thinking about that would be that'd be fantastic.
I mean, it's no different than like Mike Bibby when I was in high school. He was playing against teams like North Canyon. Like North Canyon had no shot.
North Canyon, Mike Bibby.
Oh
These two do not go together.
No.
Okay. So what I also like about this coaching staff, though, too, is that they generally have, I think a lot of times people look at this as I'm sending Erica L. Day the link. I think a lot of times coaching staffs look at it and they're like, well, you're going to put all your eggs in one basket. Arizona is now recruiting another player in case Joson St-On does not show up on campus. And Jake, I would imagine we will know. I would imagine Love will announce here within the next 6 to 7 days. I think late next or early next week at the very latest. But Miles Kelly, another one. And this is what you've got to do in the transfer portal era. If you don't believe that Joson St-On is coming here, or that's moving parts, you got to be able to cover yourself. And I think what I really like about Lloyd Saul is that he has been a master, and we talked about this last time you were on, in the transfer portal, being able to fill holes. Remember when everybody was so upset about Nembhard going to Gonzaga? Oh, well, guess what he did instead? I'll get Jaden Bradley and I'll get Caleb Love. He always has something else up his sleeve. He understands the portal. Miles Kelly from Georgia Tech played for Damon last year, averaged 14 a game. Be a nice little fit coming off the bench if they ended up getting him.
Yeah, nice little fit. He's got to improve his shooting. His shooting percentages are a little lower than I'd like, but good, solid player. Listen, you play in the ACC and you average 14 points a game. You're not a slouch. Right. So definitely a good player. And if Damon lost him for good, that would hurt their program for sure. And again, you need depth. And I think we saw that last year. The depth really helped out when we got down the stretch, and especially when guys started to fall off a little bit, when you couldn't really predict, how a guy like Colin Boswell was going to perform game to game. You needed somebody else to be able to step up in there, and Jaden Bradley did that. And so having more of those types of players that are willing to step up into those roles, play at a high level. You've seen Tommy Lloyd. Tommy Lloyd has this unique knack for finding these players that are just under the radar, that he sees something in that feels like he can develop them to get over that NBA, kind of threshold. And like, it's a really unique eye that Tommy Lloyd, the type of player that Tommy Lloyd goes after. And so again, there's been nothing in the Tommy Lloyd era that shows me that whatever player he brings in, I should just doubt them, because I feel like their development program has been up to par across the country, if not the best in the country.
Well, I think it is. There was I think Sportico put this out about who has the best transfer hit rates, and it was Arizona and UConn, and those were the top two in the country. And think about it this way. Look at just some of the dudes that came through here. Umar Ballo, like I've said before, I was totally wrong on Umar. I thought when Umar came in, he was going to be a Gene Edgerson type. Like I said, throw some bows, slide on the floor with the bike knee pads, all of that stuff. But he became an all-conference dude, a 15-10. I did not see that one occurring. Pelle Larsson,
dude would average 25 points a game if he could shoot free throws.
Oh, well, yeah.
I mean, unstoppable.
To put it mildly, I mean, look at Caleb Love this past year. Now, again, I know that he didn't end the season the way that everybody wanted, but you have to look at the totality. He was an All-American. His field goal percentage went up 5 percentage points. It was big. Jaden Bradley at the end of the year, the guy who was kind of the left-in throw-in with Caleb Love. He showed that he could be a real difference maker. Keyshawn Johnson, my bad, Jack Murphy. He will be, he's going to be in the NBA next year. Average 7 and 5 at San Diego State. I can keep going on, but the point is still the point that he knows what he's doing. So if, let's say, you get a Miles Kelly or somebody like that, maybe he doesn't average 14 points a game, but maybe he averages 8.5, but his field goal percentage goes up to about 42 or 43%. He becomes a valuable defender, and maybe he gets a little bit more of a two-way look. I don't know, but I'm just saying that generally things have worked out for these dudes.
Yeah, agreed. You need quality players, and you can't, when you're looking at the transfer portal, you can't think about what you're missing and only go out to get that. Like if you were a poor 3-point shooting team, you can't just target just a 3-point shooter that really couldn't do much of anything else. Because I think you saw in these tournament games, like you need to be balanced on both ends of the court. You got to be a solid defender, and you've got to be a decent playmaker on the other end. And then when you have your opportunities to score, you got to take advantage of them. And that's what I saw the most. That was the struggle against Clemson, is when everybody else was going kind of ice cold except for Jaden Bradley. They didn't really have anywhere else to turn because Caleb was cold, but at least Caleb was trying to get to the rack and come, and also shoot.
Right.
Pella basically camped on the outside, and the few times that he did take the ball to the basket, he missed layups. Right. And Ballo was kind of a non-factor because he just couldn't get the ball down low and hit free throws. So you had this wild array of play, and you need more consistency on both ends of the court. And I think that that's what they're trying to go after. The one thing that kind of makes me a little concerned is that the DNA defensively of Arizona last year, I thought was very good. I did think that their defense was probably the best in the Tommy Lloyd era. It's because the first couple of years they were a little bit more finesse than they were hardcore defense, and so they manned that power, or they manned up on that side of things. And this transfer portal, I don't think that they've recouped the defensive side as well as you'd like to see, but the offensive side can be more consistent. So you hope that kind of offsets whatever you're losing on the defensive side.
Yeah, because the thing that I keep coming back to, and it's a great point, is in the NCAA tournament, what's really kind of affected Arizona is that a lack of dudes that could just score. I mean, we saw that. I mean, Jaden Bradley was essentially having to put his head down and get to the bucket. And, everybody else, same thing against Princeton. Everybody was just kind of looking around, looking for somebody else to make a play. I kind of wonder if that was a little bit of the calculus too, or the calculation with Lloyd this offseason, that maybe I'll take a little bit of a step back defensively if I have to. Like, let's just use Keyshawn Johnson and Trey Townsend, for example. Trey Townsend probably not going to ever play in the NBA, but Trey Townsend also dropped 31 and 13 against North Carolina State. He dropped, now you could say it wasn't efficient. I don't care. If he dropped 31 and 13 against a team that made the Final Four, I give you a lot of credit. Same thing against Kentucky, 17 and
No, you're right. No, you're sorry. I don't know why when you said North Carolina State, I was thinking North Carolina A&T. I don't know where the hell my head went. I was like, that's not something to brag about, Mike.
Well, no, yeah, dude. Hey, believe it or not, against Bethune-Cookman, Saul Bookman, this guy killed it. He was amazing.
Dude, but Howard Bison are no joke.
Yeah, no, seriously. But the point stands though that he was a guy that could get his. As much as we love Keyshawn, and again, my bad, Jack Murphy. Keyshawn wasn't necessarily a guy that you just get the ball to and say, man, everybody's struggling. We need you to get a bucket. Townsend's kind of shown that he can do that. So I wonder if that's a little bit of the calculation to a certain degree that, obviously you want to have somebody that's going to be great on both sides. But like Doug Gottlieb always says, it's a great point. By the way, what a great gig Doug Gottlieb's got. He can still do his radio show and coach at Green Bay. Must be nice. But he said there's very few pros in the transfer portal. You're going to get somebody that's going to be really good, that can be a difference maker, but they're generally going to have a flaw to them. And I think it's generally right. So there are pros. There's your Dalton Connects and stuff, but
okay, let's talk about this though. But I know we put a lot on the coaching staff, but think about who's on this team right now. And if you had to say whose team is this heading into next season, like who's the leader or leaders on this team? I think you look to KJ Lewis and you look to Jaden Bradley. I think those are the leaders going into next season, and their identity is defense. Right. And they get after it defensively. So can they impose their will on their teammates to make sure that they play up to a high level defensively as well? I think they can. Yeah, and I think they will.
Well, you're going to have to in the Big 12. Again, 5 preseason teams in the top 10. Very, very excited about that. By the way, at Big 12 Media Day, I might start teasing this a little bit because I confirmed it again. We might have a very special guest. That is called a tease, my friend.
July 9th and 10th, baby.
Yep, absolutely. Now, Grant, the great Grant Creech. Sorry, I think I did. Yeah, the thing about just being healthy. Yeah, I was on their boards the other day. That is still a little bit of a concern. So we will find that out. Now, Saul, you're a man of many talents, many, many talents. One of the things I admire most about you is your OG's reads. Your OG's reads are fantastic. You were able to do them off the top of your head. Give me the case for OG's.
First of all, Mike, as a consumer of edibles, you know how elite OGs is. Our very own Flex from Jersey dabbled in OGs for the first time this weekend. He says it was one of the better experiences of his life. You should try OGs because OGs has got all the full array of gummies. You can't go wrong. Indicas, sativas, RSOs. They have the vegan gummies as well. The clementine gummies is one of my favorites. Everything tastes just like candy, which is probably a problem. But you got to enjoy it responsibly. Just take one little piece, take a bite, and you're good to go. You can mellow out. You can even maybe, increase your energy level a little bit just so you can, get through the day. But edibles are fantastic. I prefer edibles over the herb just because, it's easier to digest. I don't have to cough all day.
The delivery system is easier.
Exactly. And why not support Tucson's very own OGs? Let's go. Right. It's made and it's disseminated from their factory down there in Tucson. So check out ogsbrands.com for the closest dispensary to you. And remember, you must be over the age of 21 to enjoy.
All right, 21 and up, or 21 and up. Yes, very, very good sort. No, you should just go to Saul and you should go to Flex. Very, very good people. Flex. I actually knew about Flex for quite a while because of the Chris Paul thing back in the day. And I'm like, wow, this guy seems to know something. And then the Kevin Durant thing, I give him a lot of credit for. He never really wavered on that. Even when he's like, this thing can still go down. Check out the PHNX Sun Devils crew. Very, very good people right there.
Sun's crew.
Sun's crew. And the Sun Devils crew. Exactly. Well, both of them. How about that? Now, real quick, before the great Erica L. Day goes, I want to ask you this, Saul. I want to ask you a Suns question. What do the Suns do this offseason? Gerald Bourguet has an article about 25 possible trades. By the way, I imagine when Gerald is going through things, I can't even imagine the spreadsheets and the documents that he must have.
Yeah. He's a nerd.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
What would Saul Bookman do if Saul Bookman, the GM? Now, listen, you wear many hats. The AD of the Arizona Athletic Department or Arizona State Athletic Department. We tried talking about this a couple weeks ago. You would take the job because it gets a lot of money.
Yeah, but just because of the money.
Now, if you were Suns GM, what would you do with this roster that would be realistic?
Well, first, I'd come back to the conversation of U of A because I hate talking about Suns on a U of A podcast. Yeah, but if you really, really want me to, I honestly, there's too much to get into in terms of the flexibility of what you're going to try and do. So I can't really elaborate too much on that because there is money that is involved at a very complex level. And we will be talking about that today on the PHNX Suns show at 3:00 today. So you can join us then to talk about all these items that we think could happen.
Now, before Erica L. Day joins, let me tell you this, Saul. The BetMGM Sportsbook app. Listen, there's many, many great things about the BetMGM Sportsbook app. We are getting into the time where there's no basketball, no football. I am not happy with that. This is called a tease, Erica L. Day. You're right. But you guess what makes it more enjoyable when you're watching something? When you're watching, baseball. If you have the BetMGM Sportsbook app and you have a little bit of skin in the game, it makes it a little bit more enjoyable. And it's obviously everybody uses it. It is fantastic. Sign up for BetMGM. Use bonus code PHNX. Place your first BetMGM Sportsbook wager through the BetMGM Sportsbook mobile app for at least $10. You will receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if the bet loses. I am wrong on almost everything, but I told people the last 2 years to bet the over on Arizona football in the BetMGM Sportsbook app. I am saying to do that again. Now let's hear the great Shane Diefenbach with a disclaimer.
Bets expire in 7 days. One new customer offer only. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus only. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico. First bet offer for new customers only. Subject to eligibility requirements. Bonus bets are non-withdrawable. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. See BetMGM.com for terms. U.S. promotional offers not available in New York, Nevada, North Carolina, Ontario, or Puerto Rico.
All right, now let's join Erica L. Day. By the way, Bob, I'm going today to get it. Thank you for that link, by the way. That looks very, very comfortable. I will do that. All right. Now, oh, wow. Look at this. Look at this background from Erica L. Day. Hello, Erica. How are you?
We don't get the whiteboard update anymore. It's kind of crappy if you ask me.
Saul, do you know who was able to get this microphone?
No.
All right, Erica.
Erica L. Day.
All right. First of all, Erica, fill us in. We were at the baseball game. We were very bad luck for the Arizona baseball team. But now let's talk a little bit.
I didn't make the drive.
Yeah, I was going to say, right? Yeah.
Hey, it was still a fun time.
It was a very fun time. But Erica, fill us in. What do we need to know? Let's talk a little bit Arizona women's basketball. We're going to talk some Merc talk as well, because if I'm not mistaken, you have a show on Mondays and Thursdays. This is true.
Yeah, but a little bit of housekeeping, actually. Our show this week is Monday and Wednesday at 6 p.m. So be sure to be around tomorrow at 6.
Okay. All right. What do you got going on?
Just the show, Mike. The show. We're not talking about the Mercury.
Okay. All right. Now let's talk some Arizona women's basketball. Wow. Look at Erica.
Yeah. Listen, Mike.
It's been 4 minutes of diverting other sports.
I appreciate the fact that you want to talk about all these other things, but we are on the University of Arizona Wildcats podcast. We need to talk about the Wildcats. That's what we came here for. That's what the people want to see.
I am laying down the gauntlet right now because Sue Alexander is definitely watching. Sue Alexander, I am going to ask questions for you. Now, here is something that I want to ask about the Arizona women's basketball team this year. What is your biggest concern? We've talked about what some of the strengths are. What do you think that Arizona can really, and we know we need a backup center. What is your concern, though, from this team, from it being able to reach the apex? If Arizona doesn't have a good season, what went wrong, Erica Elday?
Well, we've got a transfer coming in, Paulina Paris. Her and another one of our players from last year, Montea Du, are both coming off of injuries. So it's kind of a big question mark as to what we can expect. And I don't think Paulina starts, but I definitely think Montea starts. So I think it's a big question mark as to what we can really expect from her coming into the season.
Interesting. Okay. Now, statistically, how many players on this team average in double figures?
I would say we've got 12 right now as it stands. I'd say 3 of them.
Okay, who we got?
I thought you were going to say 12. I was like, wow.
Oh,
they're going to average 140
points this season.
That's not a Dia Barnes basketball, you guys. Come on now.
I know.
All right, so what are you guys looking for? So you think three players then double figures. Who are they? What are they? Oh, who are they? What should we be looking at?
Montea Du, Jada Williams, and Brea Cunningham. I'm looking for double figures for in every game.
Could that be let me ask you this. Could that be could that be known as the recruiting class that got everything back on task? Because again, you got 3 top 20 players there that could have gone pretty much anywhere. Could that be the recruiting class that kind of, for lack of a better term, got Adia her groove back?
You know, I think Aries kind of referred to as the big 1. I think these could be referred to as the big 3 within Arizona women's basketball if they stick around at least another year after this season.
All right. What say you, Saul Bookman?
Erica, I got a question for Erica. Are you a little disappointed, or let me rephrase this. How do you feel about the fact that Adia's gone after, seemingly, some top tier players, but the hit rate hasn't been as high as I think we'd hoped, especially in the last couple of years? Jada, being the most recent one that was highly ranked. Is that something to be concerned about? Is that something that, you know what, as long as they find other players that can fit the bill, it's okay?
Last year in the offseason, if you would have asked me that question, the answer was yes. I think that just the overall aura around the team kind of gave off a bad impression to incoming recruits. But I think she has really turned it around over the last year. And to answer Ryan's question, I don't think the NIL situation is bad here. Like, I don't think it's as great as LSU and South Carolina, but I don't think it's bad here for Arizona women's basketball. But no, to answer your question, I think the recruiting problem has kind of fixed itself. I think Jada and Brea staying this year above all else kind of helped improve Adia's image to the general public. All
right. Boog, the great Boog. Skylar taking the next step. What say you, Erica?
Yeah, you know what? And I did her a disservice by leaving her out of the double digits thing. I think she averages double digits. I don't think she gets them every. Yeah, I think a solid 4 is a big ask. I think our freshman class last year was extremely competitive. And I think that the jump that they're all going to take in the offseason is going to be huge. Listen, college conditioning is no joke compared to high school. I mean, it is night and day. So these kids come in and they don't know what to expect. They work their ass off in the summer, and then they really don't know what to expect when it comes time to play actual basketball. And then, they kind of got all thrown into the fire due to injuries and, the overall situation surrounding the team. So a lot more players that maybe weren't expecting to play as much, i.e. Skylar, took bigger jumps during the season than maybe anticipated. And I think we're going to see big jumps from them in the offseason as well.
Is this a situation with Adia where it's kind of a Sean Miller to a certain degree, that Sean Miller always, to me, seemed a little bit miscast by just bringing in all of the best players? It seemed to me that when he had a really nice realm of the 4 stars, or like, you would have your TJ McConnells, your Nick Johnsons, your Solomon Hills, your guys. Is she a specific fit type coach, or is this something where you just go out and get the best players and I can make this all work? What do you guys think?
I actually think that every coach is kind of like that to a certain degree, where you want to make the big splash, you want to get the best players, but after a certain while, you start to hone in on what you really want as a coach. And when you bring in star after star after star, and some of those stars don't pan out because mentality wise, they just don't want to do what you want them to do, then you start to weed those people out, and you start to identify players that you feel like will fit your system better. And I think it's taken Adia a couple years to kind of figure that out. She wanted to be like Gino and UConn and bring in these star players. But even Gino will tell you, like, yeah, they'll get 2 or 3 big time players, but they also fill out the roster with a couple other players that they feel like they can groom and mold into their own way and the UConn way to become this national power that they've always been. And I think Adia is starting to figure that out as well. And she's not necessarily bringing in 5-star after 5-star McDonald's All-Americans. She'll bring 1 or 2 in, but she has to identify players that will fit the system, that have that same DNA to take Arizona to another level. And once you do that and you have that consistency, it's no different than like Bill Self out in Kansas. Yeah, he'll get the stars, but he also gets other players that are, 4-star rated that he knows can build into the program and become elite players at some level to make the overall program big. And you need those baseline players. You have to have those baseline players. Otherwise, the fluctuation of your program is just too incredible.
Because it seemed from an outsider's perspective for a while, it seemed like and again, everybody loves, I fall into the same thing. Everybody, Erica, loves the star rankings. You love seeing the McDonald's All-Americans, your Paris Clarks, your Maya Najis, I know she wasn't McDonald's All-American, but your Kaylin Gilberts. But it does seem that those were, for whatever reason, just not necessarily a good fit. The trio that you just mentioned with Dew, Cunningham, and Jada Williams, that strikes me as very talented players that are more of a fit for what Adia wants to do. And just judging, and again, you take it for what it's worth, judging by their social media, it seems like they are very, very excited about what this next year could bring.
Listen, with Jada Williams, the big shout out I want to give to her is that she dropped in the rankings every year after 8th grade. I mean, she consistently came down. And so I think for her, she's Adia's biggest recruiting win, because Jada Williams has something to prove that she should not have dropped in those high school rankings. I think Jada Williams is the biggest worker on this team and is ready to make everyone else around her better, just so that she can prove all of her haters wrong.
Yeah. So it's going to be fascinating here.
I'd like to address something in the chat if you don't mind.
Of course.
This is kind of a shift off topic for a second, but Alex and Boog are going back and forth about, how difficult it is to coach at San Jose State in regards to Brennan. I just want to say, the Mountain West was there for the taking, and maybe Brennan got outcoached by Boise State and Fresno State. But you also have to realize, I've been to Boise State. I've seen their facilities. I've been to San Jose State. I've seen their facilities. Worlds apart.
Right.
Worlds apart. Going to San Jose State was like me going to East High School here in Phoenix that no longer exists.
I was going to say it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, it's a shell of itself. It's like a broken down facility. It's terrible. Going to Boise State would be like, going to the cream of the crop. It's a fantastic university, fantastic setting. They have everything at their disposal. They have a lot of donors. It's not the same ballpark that they're both playing in. So just to get any amount of talent to get you to 500 at San Jose State, it's like you just won the national championship. So I get that they might not have been competitive to the degree of winning conference championships, but the fact that they were in the conversation to win those conference championships in the first place is remarkable in itself. So nobody's lowering expectations here at Arizona. There's a threshold that they need to meet.
It kind of reminds me, especially with the lack of funding, about the teacher that literally has to buy half of their own supplies to bring into the school kids or whatever. It's just not the same thing, and trying to compare that to a private school or something. You're just not dealing with the same stuff. You don't have the same supplies. You don't have the same, You just don't have the same. I look at what he did and the fact that he would win 7 or 8 games. I am totally okay with that. I mean, seriously.
This is legit. Like, there are some Texas high schools that have far better facilities than San Jose State. Not even a joke. Like, right. That is a real statement. So, yeah, we have to take things into context. It is extremely difficult to build anything at San Jose State University in comparison to some of the other Mountain West schools that Brent Brennan had to go against.
By the way, can we bring up that loyalty shirt? I had somebody ask about this the other day. Jacob Franklin, sorry, this is impromptu, but this loyalty shirt, listen, you need to become a PHNX diehard because you get stuff off and you get stuff like this as well that you can purchase. This shirt is fantastic. I had somebody ask me about this yesterday, and I said that we would throw this up on the chat. No better time to become a PHNX diehard. Erica and Kobe are in there. Andy Bryant is in there. AZ Wildcats, all kinds of good stuff. You should become a diehard and have some other fun stuff that might be on the agenda going forward. Also, Saul, there's always stuff going on at PHNX. What is going on right now? Anything? Or are we still in a little bit of the slow time of the year?
No, we have actually, I will break the news because I kind of broke it a little bit yesterday at the end of Erica's show, but we do have 2 takeovers that'll be announced soon. I will give you the dates. We have one against the Las Vegas Aces on June 13th. It's a Mercury takeover. And then we have another Mercury takeover in August against the New York Liberty. 2 fantastic teams, 2 elite teams, star power left and right, all lower level seats within the first 10 rows. And the tickets are going to be extremely, extremely reasonable. You're going to get food, drink. We're going to hang out. We're going to go to the game together. Maybe we'll all wear the same shirt and rock out today. So it'll be a fun time.
And we can confirm that Erica L. Day will be at these events.
Yes.
Very, very, very
I don't even have to ask her. It's just yes.
Well, Erica is the face of these events. Come on.
I might even fly in Stephen Pridgeon for these ones as well.
I told him he should bring his little rear end over here. We should be all there together. I think
Erica's great. I was asking her. Erica was great. I was asking her yesterday. I called her for a few minutes. I was like, so what are you all up to on Saturday? And she's like, I'm going to the Mercury game, dude. And I'm like, oh, sorry. It was very much of a territorial, do not mess with me during Mercury. So Erica all day, a lot of passion right there.
He loves to text me right before I start the Mercury show and be like, so what are we talking about tomorrow on the show? I'm like, Mike, I'm busy right now.
But I end up watching you on the Merc, though, as well. You didn't send me the link to the show yesterday, though, that you did not send me.
Mike, it's on Twitter. It's on Instagram. Mike, I might as well put it on Snapchat at this point.
Nobody needs to hold your hand on this, Mike.
Come on. You work for this company. You should know where to find the broadcasts.
No, but I wanted to retweet it for her, though.
Did you?
I should text you, though.
Did you see my screen change? It was like this dark cloud just all of a sudden just came across. Did you see what just happened?
No, what happened?
Totri walked into the room.
Oh, Totri. We've got to give, again, before we sign off there, we've got to give Totri a lot of credit. This is going to be a lot of fun. Dilly is going to be on at 2:00. Everybody in there, go in there and be nice. Dilly is a good dude, and this is going to be a good interview. I'm very excited for this. 2:00, PHNX Sun Devils.
There you go.
I will be in there, and I will expect. Oh, by the way, you know what you need to do? You need to get Dilly. Guess who is a big fan of Circle K? Dilly. Dilly is a big fan of Circle K. No, he messaged me this one time and he says, it's not necessarily as cool as some of the Circle K's here in the Valley. He likes Circle K. He backs the K.
There you go. That's all you need to know. Back the K.
That's all you need to know. Back the K. All right, Erica L. Day. Give the people the time and the place for the next Erica L. Day show.
Tomorrow, Wednesday, May 22nd at 6 p.m. We will be talking Merc. They play the Aces today, so we're pretty excited to break down. Hopefully, another dub. Hopefully, we're 2-3 by the end of the day. I don't have high hopes though.
So. Saul M. Bookman, you guys are on today. Saul Matthew Bookman, correct?
3:00 today.
There you go. And I am merely Mike Luke. I will be back. We're going to have a little bit later of a show tomorrow. I have a doctor's appointment, but 12:30. I apologize, Eric L. Day. I cannot control some of these things. But
ridiculous.
Yeah, I know. Got to get new contacts. But on that note, for the great Saul Bookman, the boss, Erica L. Day, the great Jacob Franklin behind the scene, all of you guys are absolutely fantastic. Very much appreciate. Be back tomorrow. Bear down, back the A, and go watch Dilly at 2:00. You've been listening to the AZ Wildcats podcast.
We all silly like the mayor.